All right, thank you so much for your patience. We are ready to begin our tech talk today to answer the question, what's new in NX 2406? I personally am very excited to see what is new. Now, as you have questions on this topic, as Brian is presenting, we do invite you to go ahead and just unmute yourself and ask the question. Or you can enter them into the chat. That is fine as well. We'll also take questions at the end if you prefer that method. Now, our presenter today is the fabulous Mr. Brian Fisher. He is located in our Cincinnati office. A little bit about Brian. He's an application engineer. He has extensive experience in various different CAD programs and over 20 years experience just working with NX and Team Center software. So Brian's got an excellent background in mechanical engineer, tool design, freeform modeling, GD&T, and stack ups. So Brian is definitely a subject expert. So thank you, Brian, very much for talking with us today. And the Tech Talk is now yours.
Thank you, Misty. Everybody, welcome to NX, what is new in NX 2406. As Misty said, here's a little bit more on my background for you guys. For those that don't know me, I see a lot of names here that I do know. So I have over 25 plus years. I've been with Prolim for about 6 years now as a senior NX CAD application engineer. And prior to that, I was a designer in multiple industries. So on our agenda today, we will be looking at what's new with 2406. This will be a mixture of me doing some live demo and some videos. And we'll be looking at some core design, design organization, advanced shape design, some of the Lattice Designers, what's been added to that, and Algorithmic and so on. So to start this off, we will be looking at some core model in Sketch. I know some of you guys attended my prior tech talk on Sketch, so some of this will be a refresher to you guys, but I will dig in a little bit deeper also. And additionally, at the end of this particular tech talk, what I'm going to ask you guys is get your opinion on what topics we want to cover in the next upcoming web tech talks. Now, we already have next month, that's going to be topology optimization. However, after that, we're going to have them once a month. So if you guys have an idea of what you want, maybe dig in deeper once you see what's new here, I welcome you guys to, go in and put in the chat room or even unmute yourself and we can talk about it from there. Okay. So with that being said, let's go and look at the sketch create dialogue. So this dialogue here, you guys, this is more similar to the way it was prior to the new sketch tool. Now you do have to turn this on the manual to be able to do that, and you do have to do that in your customer defaults. So this is also, if you've done any reattached sketch, this is a very similar dialogue also. Let me go ahead and bring up my NX and we'll take a quick look at that. So let's say if I wanted to come in and create a sketch. Currently we're at the default. If I come in and say sketch, you're going to notice right now we have on plane, on path, but we're limited on our orientation. We don't have as many options here. So what we would need to do, if you prefer the other method, is to go into your customer defaults, go into sketch, and in the session settings right here, you have a manual. Of course, with anything that you do in a customer default, you're going to have administrative rights. So your administrators may have to do this. And also, once you set it, you have to get out of that session and come back in. So I'm going to say OK to this, and I'm going to get out of NX real quick. And why I'm getting out of NX, let's go ahead and play a video here for you guys real quick while I'm just going through this NX here and reopening it. So within here, what you'll see is we're going through and we're going to create a sketch on a new plane. And from here, we're going to use that angle. And we're going to go and pick this particular face and use that particular edge as our orientation. So once we have this, it's going to create a sketch. Well, a plane, but that plane's going to be embedded inside the sketch. From here, I'm going to go and pick my vector. Once I have my vector, I'm going to specify my orientation point. That's the origin. So think of it as your starting point, your 0, 0. Maybe you're going to have it there for, maybe that's a datum hole. So once we have that, we can go in and create our sketch and use our axes there to actually dimension it. And in this case, we're going to go and create an additional tube to this. And when we do this, we're also going to go and add some draft to it and make it to next. And what I mean by next, it's only going to go to that body. And you'll see that when we go into here and we use our extrusion. So once we have our design intent here, what we want, we're going to go ahead and finish this. And then from here, we're just going to go and extrude this. We're going to select our vector. Our endpoint is going to be until next, and we're going to select that body. So we got to go over there and select the body. And then we're going to actually put some draft to it. So all this was done, within one particular step. We didn't have to go in and out of the extrusion. So it was just a quick example there of how you could go in there and create a sketch on the fly now using different orientations. So it's very similar to the way it was prior to the new NX Sketcher tool. It's also very similar to what the reattach looks like. Let me go ahead and get my NX back up so we can do a quick look at that in live real quick. I'm going to go and turn on my 2406 here. And just give me a few seconds here and we'll have it back up. And then additionally, we'll be looking at the Sketch Navigator once I get NX back up here. We'll be looking at the Sketch Navigator. I know, like I said, I've shown you guys some of these. To some of you guys, I've already shown this. This has already been shown, in my last tech talk. So if you want to get more in depth in it, you can go back to our Prolim YouTube channel and go and watch that particular video. All right, so now we're back in NX here. I'm going to go ahead and open up my file that I have created. And now, because I did go into customer defaults, you're going to see that I have the new orientation now. So we're on manual now, and you can see I have on plane, on path, I have new plane or inferred. If I come in here, I'm going to create a new plane. I'm going to go and select this particular plane here. Now, because I'm on inferred, here on this plane, I'm going to actually go and select my line, and this acts the same way it does on a datum plane. So now I got this at a 45-degree angle. I go and select my vector, and then I'm going to go and specify, let's say this hole here. That's going to be my start and origin. Now you see my X, Y, and Z prior to actually creating my sketch. If that's not what I want, I can reverse vectors here. Once I like what I have, I go ahead and select it, and now I go and create my sketch. And you can see now that sketch is in there. And you can also see over here in my part navigator, we have my sketch, but we do not have a datum plane. That datum plane is embedded inside the sketch itself. Do we have any questions on that before I move on to showing some of the sketch navigator? No questions? Okay. So Sketch Navigator, let me go ahead and get into the other sketch. That sketch there is not the sketch I wanted. I wanted this sketch. So the Sketch Navigator is a tool that's been added in 2406. The Sketch Navigator allows me to go in and see what my sketch has. So in here, you can see here, think of this as non-movable. You see how you got the circles there? Think of almost like the Assembly Navigator. If it doesn't have the circle, it's telling me I can move that particular dimension or line. Additionally, you can see here, I have where it's included object. This is an included object from another sketch. I have where it can tell me if it's a pattern curve. You may notice that I have this red X here. It tells me it's inconsistently defined. We'll get into that here in a few seconds. If I go into my relationships, I have relationships here. It lets me know the dimensions. It lets me know persistent relationships. You may notice the found relationships, there is nothing at that time. However, once I go and select an edge or a curve, you'll notice it starts to find those particular found relationships. If I select one of these, and I come in, I can say fit view and selection, and it'll zoom in where that particular relationship is at. Let's go ahead and do another one here. So let's say collinear, for example, and you'll see that my collinear is right here. So this allows me to go in and see where those found relationships. Notice once I get out of that, those found relationships are not shown. However, if I select another edge or curve in this case, you'll see that those found relationships do show back up. Additionally, over here, notice this one here. It's telling me it's conflicting. Notice this down here, telling me it's conflicting. If I come to my external relationships, you're going to have external relationships here. If you have anything that has an expression, it is considered an external relationship because you can change that outside of the sketch. You can change that in a part family if it belongs in a part family. You can change it in the expression table. So if you have an expression, it will be considered an external reference. You also notice I have an included object. That is a curve that I had from another sketch. I just threw it in there to be able to have that in there. Additionally, again, we have our conflict in here. We have our placement. This gives us our plane, our origin, and our reference. That will also be included anytime you create a sketch. If we look at our issues here, right away I can see my issues are my pattern or my dimension. If I go and select them, you notice how they highlight on the field of the drawing. Well, field of the sketch, I should say, in this case. So if I go and delete this particular one, now you're going to see there are no more issues. There are no issues. And you'll see that that goes away. So that is a nice little feature that we now have added to 2406. As I stated before, you can go and see more information on that on my other tech talk that I did last month, I believe it was. It might have been a month before, but it might have been, yes, I believe it was a month before. Do we have any questions on those before I go and move to the next section? No questions? All right. With that being said, I'm going to go ahead and move on to the next area here. Additionally, inside here, there's a little bit more information on that sketch navigator. And I do have a video, but I'm not going to play that particular video just because I just did a live demo for you guys on most of that. All right, the next thing we're going to look at is an enhancement for chamfer finding. This has to do with the synchronous modeling and deleting faces. You have 3 different things now that you can find. It can find an exact match, loose match, or all. I'm going to go ahead and bring up a model here in NX, and we're going to go and look at that. Excuse me. So here we have my model open. And you can see I have some chamfers here, different sizes. And if I come over to my synchronous model in here, I have delete. Inside there, I have find clones. So if I come in here and I select this particular smaller chamfer, notice if I say exact match, it will select all of these chamfers. All of them, that's exact match, that is. If I say loose, it's going to go and select a loose match. So if there's within a certain range, it's going to go in there and find them. If I say all, it's going to go in and find all of the chamfers that are in that particular model. Now, now somebody might say, why didn't you find this one? Well, that's not a chamfer, actually. That was done in my sketch when I revolved it. So that's every time, when I train individuals, I tell you people all the time, keep them sharp edges. Don't have it in your sketch. Have those blends and chamfers outside of the sketch. There's advantages to that. That's why I like to teach in that manner. So at that time, though, if I say all, it's not going to let it do it this time because there's going to be some confliction. And you notice I get an alert down here. But if I came in and I say loose and I go in, notice it's going to go in and I'm able to go in and delete those particular faces and edges. All right. I do have a video on that too, but we're not going to look at that. We'll just go ahead and move on to our next thing here. This here is a selection intent. What this allows me to do is I can go in there and group edges, and those edges can be used later on downstream. So for this particular one, I'm going to bring up that same model, and we're going to go in and actually suppress some features and go from there. So let's go ahead and bring that back up. I'm going to get rid of my delete face here, and I'm just going to go and pick a few of these and suppress them. And I'm going to come in, and this is under my more, under my base and home tab, my modeling. So here we have some information here. I say group edge. It allows me to select these edges. Oop, my bad. So I'm just going to go select a few edges here. Now, yeah, this is a simple case, but if you had it where it was a more complex model, this could be very handy and not have to go back and reselect edges all the time. So now I have a group edge here. That group edge can be used downstream. So let's say I wanted to now put a chamfer or a blend on these. Let's do an edge blend this time. If I want to say select edge, I don't have to go and pick each edge. I can just simply go over here, pick that group edge group, and say okay, and now I have my blends. Now, inside the Discovery Center, if I can, what's new, guys, everybody knows that I'm a big fan of self-help. Anybody that's attended any of my classes or any of my webinars. So here, again, we can change this to 2312, 2306, whatever we're coming from. So if you guys are coming from a version, a couple, versions back, you can simply come in here, say, okay, what's changed? I go into Sketch, and you see right here, we have some information. So here you can see that in 2312, there was a sketch slot that was added. You can see here the navigator here. So if you wanted more information on that, it was in 2406 added. You simply go in and select that navigator, and it will bring up our support center here, and you will have information that allows you to come in there and look at that. Additionally, there's this one called Continuous Model Update. I'll show that a little bit later also. So another one that we want to show here, let me go back into my sketch here. If I come into my file and I go to Preference and Modeling, right here we have our update. This is the continuous update that I just was talking about. If I come and turn this on, if I come into my sketch, any of the sketches that have a expression, I am able to go in and use now a slider. So this slider here will come in there. If you have an expression, you see how those holes are moving? That's because it's on that pattern. If I turn that off, now notice this is a preference in the modeling, so I don't have to get in and out like I have to do with customer defaults. If I say none now and come back to this, and I go to that particular sketch again, you notice that that slider option's not there. So again, I'll go ahead and turn that on for you guys again. And show you the difference. Now I have that step expression. So that step expression allows me to go in there, and you can see it updates right away. Now, if that was a model, so if I came in there and actually extruded this, it will work for that also. So if I came in and changed my pattern here, you will see that it automatically updates. So depending on if you like to work in that manner, you can turn that off and on real easy. Does anybody have any questions on that particular area? Okay. Moving on. Does anybody here work with advanced shape design and draw curves on surfacing? I take that as a no. Well, anyway, we've added to this particular function. You now can do lines, arcs, and circles, and we got a geodesic option. Does anybody use realize shape or know what realize shape is? Realize shape, okay, we got two, Dave and Greg. So with realize shape, what it is a subdivision modeling. You actually have a cage and you pull and tug on stuff. We've added a few enhancements to that also. And as you've seen, what I just showed, the dynamic update workflow with step expression, that's been added also. So it's included in some of these videos coming up, but since I was there, I decided, to go ahead and show you guys it live. So with that being said, let me go ahead and move on to the next portion here. And as I said, the line and the arc was added. 2312, the line was added, and 2406, we've added this particular curve. We've also added some bridge curve constraints for G2 and G1 continuity. So with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and we're going to play a small video here. And in this video, we're going to do a curve on a surface. So there you can see we got our spline, line, and arc and circle. As we go in here, you'll see I'm going to go and draw a spline. You've seen the G1 and G2 pop up there. And what you'll also see is once we go and place this, we're going to go and look at our tangent magnitude, and you'll see that we can put a magnitude to that. And we'll apply that. Now let's go ahead and we'll do a line. And the first line we're going to do is we're just going to use projection. And we'll show you what the projection is versus a geodesic. So we have our projection there. However, once I move this over that blend, you're going to see that we're going to get ourselves an error because it's not going to be able to project it on there properly. So we'll change that to geodesic, and you'll see that we're able to put that particular line now in there. From here, we're now going to go in arc and circle. So the arc and circle is very similar to what it would be in a sketch. You have your three points or from center. We'll go ahead and create our full circle here. And as we move it, you see we have ourselves a full circle there that we can drag around and move. So that's just a quick example of the new projection curves that we have available. Now, on Realize Shape, we have also added some shortcuts. So these shortcuts are with the Alt key +1, +2, and so on. So if you do use any Realize Shape, we have put enhancements there for you to be able to go in and use shortcuts if that's what you prefer to do. As we move on, we have added additional enhancements to our Realize Shape. These are enhancements that have been requested. They've been highly requested, so we've gone in and added them. We have a so cage enhancement. We got to enable step increment. You saw me do that with the sketch, but you can do that also in the Realize Shape. We've done some examine geometry also, and we added some color options. You can see the different movements we added additionally with that. So here is a good example of what that step expression is and how you can go in and you can you could still type in, any number you want in there. And you also saw where I was able to go in and put that information and change it from continuous not to none. So let's go ahead and show that being in use. So here I put some zebra on this just so you guys can see a little bit better. Here we are, we're changing it to none, to continuous and all. And we're going to go in and we're going to make a change to this particular sketch. Now you'll notice at this time the model's not updating. However, we'll be making a change here in a few moments that will make that update. So we're going to come over, go in our menu here, and we're going to go down to Tools, and we're going to go down to Update here. So in Update there, we're going to tell it to be Continuous Model Update. Now when we make this change, the model will change automatically and you will see it. The reason I put the zebra in there, you can really see the change, real well with the zebra on there. So we make a couple model changes and you see that it updates real quickly. Now, if you have a really complex model, you may not want this. It may, take a little bit of jumping and stuff, and also depending on your computer. So now let's go ahead and look at the step expression that you just seen that I did. And again, this time we're going to go in and we use that datum plane at the very end. That datum plane was done in a distance and there's a sketch on there. So as I move it, you see that particular model moving also. Anywhere you have an expression, you can use the step expression. And you see again how it's changing here depending on what I do. And you'll see also, the zebra again. That zebra is a nice little thing that's on there that allows you to see it real quick. That is an analysis tool. And we go in and just make a couple more just to show it off a little bit for you guys. So that's how we can go in there and utilize those new features. So again, there's the zebra I just talked about. We had enhancements on that. Before I move on though, does anybody have any questions on the sketch or the step expression or any of the other stuff that I've shown so far? All right. So we'll move on here, and we looked at the enhancements for the zebra here, and you can see we've done an on-screen dynamic CSIS. You'll see me move a CSIS and see what that does. I'll be playing a video here again, and I'll be playing with the options here just to show you guys the different things that you will get depending on what you mess with here. Give me one sec. So here we are with the same model here, and we got a face blend that we put in there. Excuse me. And inside here, I'm going to turn on the zebra. Highlight lines. You got different options in here, and as you can see, depending on what your needs are, we've added a lot of options. So for orientation here, I can go and orientate it in different orientations. I can put my zebra map on. I can make it uniform. I can go and give me a start angle or end angle. Here is where we're going to go and actually use the dynamic and move that particular CSIS, and we can tell that CSIS, and you'll see here in a second when I go to rotate this, how it changes how the zebra looks. It's how you're looking at the model at that time. So there's been some, features here added by the request of the users, and it gives you guys a lot of capabilities to go in there and change it depending on how you want to look at this. So that's just a quick example of the zebra and the different things we've added to the analysis there. So I'm going to go ahead and open up another particular PowerPoint real quick and bring that over for you guys. I'll go ahead and close this other one so it doesn't get in our way. And we'll bring this one up. And we're going to look at a few other things here. You guys already seen this, so I'm going to go through all that pretty quick. I should have removed that. That's my bad. And we're going to get to this area right here. We're going to be looking at some lattice filtering, connection rod enhancements, and some stuff we've added to the lattice. So first thing we're going to look at is we did add some stuff to the filter. We added a new connect dangle in, and in here we've added some new lattice enhancements also. So let's go ahead and take a quick look at some of this. So the first thing we added two new filter options, filter by thickness and filter by ratio. We've also added new filter and parameters for none, maximum, and minimum, and outside the limits. And we added some for the filtering on dangling rods only. So with that, let me go ahead and run on my particular video here for you guys and show you this particular filters. So we're going to start off with the filter lattice, and we're going to look at some by length, by thickness. So you see we've added a lot here that allows you to go in there. Now the nice thing with our design for add to manufacturing and our lattice, you can see with the preview on, you quickly get a preview of what you are doing. If you're not satisfied with it, obviously you can cancel out, but you could also still make changes here and get to the point where you like. So depending on what you need, you can quickly go in there and make changes and you get a quick preview of it. I myself, was very impressed of how quick we're able to get that preview. It's, real life, boom, you do your change, you get the different ones. If we move on, we are going to go and look at some other capabilities here. This is going to be with the connect angle and rods. We've added a new feature there. We've added connectivity pro. So you can see we do closest, random, or farthest now. So there's a lot of nice little things we've added here. Again, we'll go ahead and do a demonstration on this. And in this particular demonstration, we're going to connect angle and rods. You're going to come in here and see again, it updates real quick. And from there, we're going to make some changes just to show you the capability and how quickly we can see our preview. Once we have what we want, we're going to turn back on that sphere and we're actually going to just, connect to it. So here you can see we're going in and just making random changes just to show the capabilities and show you what we're capable of doing now. So now we're going to select our sphere, go in there and connect it to the solid body. Now, yeah, this just looks like some random stuff, but again, we're just showing off the tool here. And notice, even though we already said connect to the body, we're still able to go in there and make changes and see it on the fly. All right. The next area we have is some lattice enhancements. And you can see the different things we've added there. We've also added create spikes on volume and surface volume. So why would we do that? Well, maybe you have some tolerances that you may not be able to get right now with your additive manufacturing or your printer and so on. And it's common that you may have to go back and do a secondary, operation on it. So maybe you have to come back and, and mill it a little bit or something like that. So we've added those spikes to it so you have the ability to have spikes. So let's go ahead and look at that real quick. And here we are inside here. We're in our lattice. You can see the new distribution we've added. Inside here, we do have uniform variable, and I'm sorry, I can't quite pronounce that. Gaussian, I think is how you would say that. And from here, you have minimum and maximum. You have your average. You can lock that minimum maximum if you want, also, as you see with the check mark over there. And again, as we make these changes, you will see it update real quickly inside your model. Now, right now, we have an output of volume, but we can take that, and you'll see here in a second, we'll take that output and we'll change it, and we're going to change it to surface. Or maybe we want surface and volume. You can do both. From here, we can come in here and you see quickly change it, and it updates real quick. Gives you a preview of what you're going to see. Here you got your rod diameters and all that you had in the past. And here you got your spikes. So we can select the face that we want to have the spikes come out of. And you can quickly see we have spikes come up there. We can tell the spike length. We can tell the maximum angle. So as you make those changes again, you'll see the preview. And we'll go in there, and there's your finished product there. You're able to quickly go in there and make those changes. Algorithmic modeling. Who is here familiar with algorithmic modeling? Okay, so all right, so we got Dave. So what we have here is we have a low key, no No, I'll just show you it real quick. It's low key, no key. I was trying to get that out of my mouth here. Sorry about that. Basically, what you're doing is you're going to take these nodes and you're going to put them out there and I call it connect the dots, but really what you're doing is you're going to be going in and putting these particular nodes in there and connecting them together. Now, the nice thing about this is you can save these rules and use them later on. Yes, there is some upfront, which you'll see when we go into the demo here. But in this particular algorithmic modeling, we've added where you can actually take convergent model and remesh it and clean it up. And so, who's familiar with convergent modeling? Okay, so the convergent modeling is it's a hybrid model, really. What it allows me to do, it is a mesh model, but I can still do traditional modeling with it. I can go put holes in it. I can put blends on it, depending on what I have there. So with that being said, I'll go ahead and do a quick demo here just to show you guys what this capability is. So here we're going to come in and it's going to split the screen. Now, I'm not going to go and finish this whole thing because we are getting towards the end of, well, yeah, we got about 54 minutes in. It's 11:40, so we got a few more minutes. So in here, though, you can see we have our search nodes. And in here, I go in and put my search nodes. And what we're going to do here is we're going to remesh this. And when we get to this, we can go in and tell how many facet faces, number of facets, and so on. And we'll speed this up a little bit though here in a second, but I'll let it go in and we'll go and show how we're just going in and connecting some of these. So here you see minimum angle to the facets, minimum facet number. We can put all that information in there. Now, the nice thing about these rules is once I have this rule done, I can save this rule out and we can use it for other models. So this is an add-on. It does take some upfront work and it does take a little bit to get used to at first. But once you know what nodes you need and what you're doing in here, you can go in there and quickly utilize this. Now, last year I did at our NX University, I did model-based definition, and I actually showed doing this with a model and automatically adding PMI. So if you're interested in that, we do have a video out there on that also. So I'll go ahead and speed this up a little bit. And once we get up here, you can see our output there. You can rename these nodes also. So in this case, I'll go back just a little bit and you'll see that we rename this one create remeshed output. So that's going to be where we know that's going to be our output model that we're going to do. So once we have all these nodes together, I'll go ahead and fast forward a little bit more. And right here we have our mesh. Let's go right here. We're about to get there. There you go. So we have that done, and you can see we have our original convergent body and our algorithmic. So the algorithmic, you could see how much cleaner that was. It had a cleaner mesh to it than what our original convergent body had. So that's one thing that could be utilized in. And as I stated, I also have shown this done with PMI, but this is the add-on that has been updated for the 2406 where we're able to go in there and work with convergent models. All right. So with that, that concludes today's presentation. Do we have any questions or comments at this time? None? Dave, you don't even have a question. I'm surprised at that. There we go. Come on, Dave. You can unmute yourself, Dave, and go ahead and ask a question.
So yeah, I do have a question, but it would be back to what we've talked about in the past about swapping out a customer model. You know, when we're doing our oh, it lost my words. You know, we've got the model in and linking the linked model, swapping out that customer model, which you obviously aren't covering now, but I was going to fire off a email to you and maybe we could hook up afterwards.
Yeah, sure. You know, not a problem on that. While I have you on here, do you have any thing that you want to see in the future for a tech talk?
Possibly that. I think we talked about that before. I don't know how many other people out there are doing similar
Well, I would say it's
processes,
not
but
uncommon because we have a lot of customers, that work with many vendors and other customers, that use different CAD systems, or even have a case where you're on a different version of NX, and you can't bring their model in because their model may be, newer. So there's that possibility, across the board for a lot of users. So that would be dealing with wave geometry then, correct?
right. Yep.
Yep. So we can definitely look into wave geometry as a possibility. Does anybody else have a suggestion or have interest in seeing wave geometry in a tech talk? Don't be shy, guys. All right. So anything that I've shown today, is there any of those subjects that I showed that individuals would be more interested in also to see in an upcoming tech talk? All right. Again, a lot of this information I have gone over before on the Sketcher, for example. That was, in our YouTube channel. If you have not been to our YouTube channel, I highly suggest it. There's a lot of information in there. You can quickly search information inside there. Matter of fact, I'll just go bring that up for you guys since we're talking about it. And we'll go into my Prolim YouTube. Let me go find it real quick. And I'll bring it over here for you guys. So this particular Tech Talk will be posted later on our YouTube channel here. Inside their YouTube channel, we have different objects and subjects here. We got NX, we got Solid Edge, NX Cam, Team Center, FEA. So we got a lot of information in there. Additionally, you can do a quick search. So if I came in here and said NX NBD, for example, you'll see that we have information that comes up, automated PMI authoring. We have down here the NX University that I talked about. Right here, it goes in and it shows you information in there. If you wanted to know more about Sketch, you can come in here and go Sketch. And you'll get multiple videos here. As you've seen right here, there's a webinar that I did on the new NX Sketch. Now, this was 2 years ago when it first came out. Obviously, there's been a lot of enhancements since then. But if you go down, you will also see we have webinars on CAD assembly constraints. There's a lot of information in here that you can quickly get to. I also have a webinar, that I did back a year ago on June 2022 on a what's new. So there's a lot of information that you can quickly get to and you can subscribe to it. So this is a nice little website, YouTube, I should say, that allows us to go in and get you guys information. With that being said, I'd like to thank everybody for attending, and we'll leave it open for a few more minutes if you guys have any questions or comments. We do have one in the chat, it looks like. Oh, sorry, Misty went and put our how to subscribe to our Prolim YouTube channel in there. Thank you, Misty.
Absolutely. And I also include that link whenever I send the follow-up email, guys. It will be in that link as well. A lot of great info. I agree, Brian. So guys, we're going to give it about just about 1 more minute. I don't want to take too much of your day.
Brian, I have one question.
Yes.
Yeah. I would like to know about the lattice because it goes into the additive manufacturing, like in NX, how good is the lattice is playing with the model?
So, am I hearing you correctly? You want to see more with the lattice? Is that correct?
Yeah.
Okay, so
Yes.
that we can definitely use that, do that as a subject coming up. Like I said, next webinar, I will be working on topology optimization, which is also in the additive manufacturing field. There is also a 3-part webinar that I have on our YouTube. Now it is a couple years old, so we have added, more to our Lattice program since then. But I take a design all the way from concept to actually putting it on the print bed. So there is actually a 3-part webinar on that also. If you send me an email, it's my email is on brian.fisher@prolim.com. I can I can go and find those particular links for you and actually send those to you also.
Yes,
So,
friend, definitely.
all right. So if I'm hearing correctly right now, it looks like we do have a couple individuals that want to see Wave and Lattice. So those are two possible topics I will cover in the next few tech talks then.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you, friend.
Yes, thank you, Brian. This was a excellent session today. All right, well, thank you guys all for joining us, and I will go ahead and send a recording of this Tech Talk to your email later this afternoon or tomorrow morning. And please, by all means, definitely take a look at the upcoming Tech Talks that we have, register, register for them, and then we've got everything scheduled through September. So then, we've got a full schedule coming up. And if you have anything that you want to see, please do respond to the message, and I'll CC Brian as well. So he'll be part of the message. Just CC and let us know what you want to what topics you want us to cover, and we will do so. All right. And then, of course, don't forget to follow us on LinkedIn. Thank you guys. We appreciate your time today, and we'll see you soon.